for the purpose conversation. Woo! Okay, guys. So you know how we do. If I am coming across your live feed right now, I would ask that you go ahead and come on into the room, because tonight's show is going to be amazing. And I know I always say that, but y'all, it is really going to be amazing. So if you would, tonight, I will ask you specifically, if you are a mom, if you know a mom, if you came from a mom, if your sister's a mom, your cousin's a mom, I want you to invite them or share this particular show, because tonight's show is all about moms. Now, when I think of moms, goodness, I found this little quote, and it says, "Moms, just a title slightly above queen," because oh my gosh, as moms of little bitty babies, moms of toddlers, moms of school-age children, young adult children, you know, we're always momming, we're always parenting. If you are a parent, and maybe I shouldn't just say for moms, but this show, I'm talking to a mom tonight, but if you are a parent, I want you to tune into this show. I think you can get a lot out of it. We're definitely my guest tonight. We promised that we were going to be honest and transparent and to just take the opportunity to share. And I thought it would be pretty interesting. She and I kind of went back and forth over the past month or so, you know, talking about this particular show and the topic, the idea, you know, that I had. And so, first of all, I'm so grateful and thankful that she gave me her yes. And so, anyway, I see that we have a couple of purpose friends that are coming into the room. Go ahead and like this page. Go ahead and share this particular live feed. And I thank you for coming. Thank you so much for joining in tonight, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. It is always a pleasure. And for all of my purpose friends that always catch me on repeat, what's up? It's good to see you. Make sure that you stay engaged. And I promise my guest and I, we will go ahead and we will communicate with you after the show. So tonight's guest, I've known this young lady for quite a few years. And it's so funny because she and I were just kind of catching up pre-show. And we were just talking about just some of everything. And I was almost ready to just kind of dig into our purpose conversation tonight. But we have known each other for quite some time. And one of the things that we have in common is that, first of all, we're both moms. And tonight, I wanted to specifically talk to a mom whose primary role right at this season in her life is to stay home and care for her kids. Some of us with, of course, we may know several stay-at-home parents, but that she is. And I'm going to wait before I kind of dig into the meat of what it is, because I'll just go with it. But her name is Lydia. Lydia, I don't know if I'm not going to give her last name. If she wants to share her last name, she'll share her last name. But well, you're good. You're good. I'm going to bring Lydia into the stream. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, parents, grandparents, all you guys, all of my wonderful, amazing purpose friends. You know how we do. Let's give a hand clap, please, and a drum roll for Lydia in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey!
Hey! Hello!
Hello.
Friends, Romans, and countrymen.
How are you, Lydia?
I'm great. I'm doing really, really well. Actually, I'm doing really great today. It was a good weekend. Good weekend. Looking forward to not having to wake up at the crack of dawn to get this ornery child out of the bed who does not want to get out of the bed. I'm excited.
You must be talking about a middle schooler.
Yes. He's a 6th grader.
Okay.
It's been real. It's been interesting.
It's been interesting. And
Yeah.
you know what? I'm pretty sure as we talk about middle schoolers and parenting tonight, we're going to have a lot of comments saying, yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah. One of the things that we'll do, Lydia, is we will have a couple of purpose breaks as we see people come in that are engaging via Facebook or YouTube. So just so that you know that, we may stop here and there just to engage and interact, because I do believe, it is a live cast. And so I want to make sure that we acknowledge those people. But
I can't see anything.
you can't see.
I can't see any questions or comments or anything like that. Just FYI.
Okay, not a problem. Well, I can end up seeing them here in my view. So I do see that they're watching. So but hey, Purpose friends and Lydia's friends and my friends, if you see us, and you want to engage, please do so. I can see any questions or comments, even if you want to say, hey, go girl, what have you. We're here for all of that. Right, Lydia?
Absolutely. Any kind of encouragement, I'm here for it. Absolutely. All accepted.
All accepted. All accepted.
Any questions? And if you're watching and you do know me, you know that there's almost nothing you cannot ask me as long as it's appropriate to the scenario, obviously, but I don't pull any punches about anything. So I'm very comfortable with just about any topic. So
that's right. And that's exactly why I knew I had to have you on tonight. And so, Lydia, thank you so much. First of all, just really thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored. Honestly, I really am very honored to be here, that you would think of me. So, all right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. First of all, because this is a purpose conversation, I'm going to ask this one standard question that I always ask everybody. Lydia, what does purpose look like to you?
To me, purpose looks like be here now. It looks like, I have never been, and I probably never will be, one of those people who is like, I have a 5-year plan and a this and that, and this is what I'm definitely going to do. Because if there is one thing, anything that life has taught me, is that I can't do that it doesn't work for me. And so if I were to put a name to what I feel like my purpose is, it's to engage and to live here now. And because what now might require of me in terms of my strengths, in terms of my resources, abilities, etc., it's not going to necessarily be the same from day to day. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's very mundane and it goes along very, same day, kind of thing. But I have to always be here now and not get complacent with what I think I'm supposed to be doing here.
I got you. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And I hadn't heard it put like that before, but be here now.
Baba Ram Dass.
Makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
I'll tell you the quote, the author of the quote later on.
Okay. If you think of it, if you think of the girl, because I thought that was yours, but I was like, ooh, that's good. That's real good.
It's this goofy. You know what a yogi is, right?
A yogi?
Yeah, a yogi, a yogini, a yogi. It's a yoga teacher, a master.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So there's this guru yogini back in the 60s and 70s called Baba Ram Dass. And he was kind of a nut, but he did have some really interesting ideas. And one of the cornerstones of his purpose and his teaching, or I don't think he'd call it ministry, but his teachings was to be here now. He coined that phrase. So.
Okay. Well, I like that because it kind of reminds me of a phrase that I like, and it's how do you want to show up? Question: how do you want to show up? And and that always makes me just kind of dig a little bit. But I like that. Be here now. And now I'm going to have to make sure that I kind of look him up.
Yeah,
it's
kind of something. It's really wild and wacky. It's very 70s, okay?
Okay, that works. That absolutely works. Okay, so we're talking parenting, we're talking all things moms, just so that our audience and my purpose friends and everybody, they get an understanding that when I came to you, I specifically said that, hey, I wanted to actually do like a round table where I had like maybe several different moms, but this is perfect because it's you and I can vibe.
Yep, definitely.
And one of the things that I was concerned about, I said, just kind of talking to stay-at-home moms, is that what I've realized, and because I talk purpose and, I'm all about purpose, it seemed as if a lot of moms, I don't know if they felt stuck or why it seemed as if they might have shied away. Some of them, I don't know if they felt that what they were doing as a stay-at-home mom wasn't enough. And it kind of broke my heart, Lydia, because I know how much it requires to take care of a family, and especially a family of all stages of life. And so where do you think, with me coming to them and saying, hey, do you want to do this? And I'm kind of getting a little bit of resistance or an excuse, and some are valid excuses, I mean,
it's a rough time of year it is a rough time to give a commitment of time. I get that.
So maybe that's what it was.
I think that's probably a big part of it. I think also, I've always protected my intellectual life. I've always protected the things that I'm passionate about and interested in, and that I love to talk about. I haven't ever let that go by the wayside. Yeah. But I think that for a lot of us, especially a lot of the ones, if they're little, if they're under school age, your brain kind of turns to mush, and you might be sitting there thinking, what do I have to say? I clean butts all day long. Really. Right. And, and I get that. And I honor that. But I'm hoping that I can, bring encouragement to those moms and say, hey, listen, this is be here now, be here with the butts to clean and the noses to wipe and the laundry to fold. But find that place inside of yourself, in your spirit, in your personality, within yourself, that honors who you are, honors what's important to you, honors what you're passionate about. Don't ever wake up one day and go, oh, I used to love XYZ. Like, if you ever start thinking that way, you stop and ask yourself, why? Why can I now only say, I used to love to cook. I used to love to do karaoke. I used to love to do my makeup and wear cute clothes.
Right.
Why is that? That's a question you have to constantly kind of ask yourself.
Absolutely. I really like that. And maybe they are just, I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to think that any woman felt as if what she was doing wasn't enough,
and sometimes
wasn't valued, because I'm here for it. I mean, granted, I work a traditional 9 to 5, although I must say for the past almost 2 years, so at least 18, 19 months now, I've been remote. And when I say remote, I've primarily, my office has been here in the house.
Right.
And then of course, here in North Carolina, I'm in North Carolina. So at least for a year of that, North Carolina they weren't playing around, Lydia, with all of this stuff.
Really?
They were like, nope, these kids are going to be home. These kids are going to have to learn remotely. So for about a year, the kids were home. you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about. I have a very dear friend in North Carolina.
yeah. So it's like, okay, so I have my job, my 9 to 5, but then my kids see that I'm home and they're home.
You're like, oh, I'm hungry. Didn't you love that? Didn't you love how all of a sudden they needed to eat 11 times a day? Wasn't that great?
Oh my gosh. I was like, I mean, this like, I was like, first of all, I didn't understand which job was more demanding. Definitely mommy full time.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids are older.
Yep.
My children, right now, I have a 8th grader, and then I have a junior in high school, but it didn't even matter. You still would have thought that I mean, it's,
because especially during the initial first months of the whole situation,
yes,
everybody's terrified, everybody's confused, everybody's traumatized, and it does not matter how old you think you are, how cool you think you are, or what this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter. If mom's around and you love her, and if she meets your emotional needs, you're gonna regress a little bit. You're gonna want more, attention and touch, and
and that's exactly what happened. So so the kids are back to school full time, right?
Yep.
But my company's still like, hey, we still need to get this under control. They're very, very cautious. So
that's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that, though. Yeah. That makes me very happy.
Yeah. So I've still just kind of been home, but it's like, okay, still, even when you're still home, you still have your house, which right now, I'm in the middle of trying to organize. Oh gosh. Trying to organize before the end of the year. We'll see how that goes.
Shay's been doing some of that. I don't know if she can hear me right now, but yeah, she's been working on that hardcore lately.
Oh goodness, what, organizing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's what I've been. That's what I'm doing this week. I've put a plan in place. We'll see how well it goes.
Okay, let me know. Keep me posted.
but it's still, it's still mama. I'm still, having to meet all of the demands and all of the needs. And I had to laugh when you said it. Hey, at least you don't have to get up tomorrow morning with this milk. What is it about the middle schoolers, Lydia, and getting up?
I think it's that whole transition into a totally different phase of being, both with the hormones and all of the little neurological connections are just being formed. It's all so fast. It requires so much energy. That's why they get hungrier, and it's why they're more tired. Is because this is all happening rapid fire, which under the best of circumstances is exhausting for them. It really is. We're like, oh, you don't have a job. Why are you exhausted? Because their brain is growing. And
it's a good thing.
It is. So yeah, it's a unique middle schooler thing, though, because yeah.
I'm telling you, some days, so hard, Lydia. Huh?
I was responding. Shay, my friend here, that I told you about earlier, our boys are bestest buddies since kindergarten, and we live right around the corner from each other. And she was just said, "Oh, that was such a hard time," when our boys first, they sent them home for good, basically.
Yeah, that it is challenging. It is very much challenging. I'm, just even now, one of mine, like I said, he's in the 8th grade, and it's like getting up in the morning. I'm like, oh my!
And with his little football and everything, and all that. Yeah, that's a lot too.
Yeah, it is. We're doing basketball season right now, and it's so kind of sort of a new sport for us.
Oh, okay.
So interesting. Cool. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So what piece of advice do you think you would give some moms right now that I don't know, Lydia, I just feel like there's some moms that feel like what they're doing isn't important. Yeah. And that bothers me.
It is, and there's so many reasons for that. I always, when I think about my parenting, I always have to immediately add in the piece of my mental illness, because I have I had really rough time growing up. It was not a good time, and I have some chronic physical situations. So there's been so many times when I'm incapacitated, whether it's physically or whether it's mentally. And over the years, I've been learning to deal with it better. My medication regime has gotten, refined, if you will. But there's so many times where I would sit and just sob to my husband. Nothing I do is ever enough. It's never good enough. And to the degree, I can't tell if you can see this or not. If you can see this tattoo that I have, it says,
yes,
I am enough. Okay. And the tattoo is this area here. I've never tried to go all that way with the situation, but I've honed in this spot, and the semicolon means my story's not over.
Yes.
And that's, whenever you see a semicolon on somebody's body, please know that means that they've endured some pain.
Right.
My story's not over. And I got that crap tattooed on me. So that's maybe, just maybe, if I see it 1,000 times a day, maybe I'll believe it. But I think that society has trained us to believe that unless we are superhuman, unless we want to be superhuman, I don't want to be superhuman no more. No. Thank you. You know what? For so many years, I told myself that I needed to want that.
And I think we all have, because society has told us that.
I needed to want. There's something defective about me, something wrong about me. If I didn't have 30 irons in the fire, and who knows? There's so many things that we take up time, and we rush and we run and we rush and we run. But do you know what I am? I'm here. And I'm not stuck here in my house. I'm not stuck here in my role as a mom. But I have the privilege, the deep privilege, to be here. Like, both of my kids are, I don't love the term special needs, but we'll go with it because it's easy. Both of my kids have significant special needs that require a lot of focus. And my daughter in particular has a lot of mental health issues. And then she badly injured herself last summer. And she was convalescing on my couch the entire summer. It was brutal. And you know what? I don't know what our family would have done if I wasn't able to be there.
Yeah. Oh, girl, yes.
I don't know. And obviously we would have figured it out, but holy crap, and it was hard. It was really hard, because it's like, I can't leave for more than 2 hours. It's like having a puppy. And she had such grace, and she just did her very best just to do whatever she could do. But yeah, that's just as an example. She's 19 years old. She still needs me. She'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't maybe not always like it, but
girl, yes.
But she knows that. And I'm thankful that I'm able to sit here and say that with complete confidence, and that I don't have to, that I'm not saying it with a little voice in the back of my head going, you're lying. You're lying.
Wow. Yeah. What do you think sometimes, though, when people know, and you and I kind of talked about this pre-show, you shared a little bit. People always ask this question, what do you do? And they make it seem as if, like there's like you should be doing something more.
More.
Like you should be doing something more, like being a stay-at-home mom, as if it's not enough. Or, how do you get past that? Because I know that it happens. And I know that it happens. And there's like that's the thing. I want people to realize that, hey, your purpose right now may be to be home, like I said, and to take care of your kids and to take care of your family. So for those people that are getting at, for those parents that are getting at, what do you do? How do you work around that question? But I know you are real transparent, so you probably let them know.
Well, thankfully,
how do you handle that one?
Thankfully, people are typically not dumb enough to ask me that. Thankfully, I'm so glad. I did have one gentleman, I will never forget this. This was several years ago, mind you, when my son was itsy bitsy. And he goes, you're not working right now? Are you lazy? And I almost ascended into the heavens.
Oh my goodness. Did he really?
He was from another culture, and there's a pretty significant language barrier. So I don't think he meant to like
offend,
but it was like, sir, ask your mama. Okay, who's lazy? The fuck. But like, what? Some days I don't run around, because over time, especially during the whole lockdown situation, if there's nothing that I learned, it was how to value my peace and how to value my inner strength and how to value when my body and my mind and my instinct was telling me, you can't keep running. You have to stop.
Oh, yeah.
Stop trying to do all things for all people.
Oh my God.
And so, you know what? There would have been a time when I would have sat here real quick, come up with something. I would have even lied. I probably have. I'm not even going to front. But now I'm like, well, it depends on the day, Yeah. But again, both of my kids with their various challenges and needs, they do have a lot of doctor's appointments, especially, like this summer and into the fall even. My daughter had biweekly, twice a week, three times a week, sometimes physical therapy. She also has thyroid disease and some other stuff that she has to get blood work for regularly. Her body, as she will tell you, hates her. So it's always something. But okay, so today I drove a lot. That's what I did today. If you want me to be more exciting than that, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's your problem, not mine. Like,
yeah.
And especially like a friend of mine that I hadn't spoken to in a while, and they were like, well, what are you doing this weekend? I said, well, today we're going to go, it's a beautiful day. We're going to go on the trail behind the school, and it's gorgeous back there, and we're going to take a walk. And they were like, it's like, isn't that boring? I'm like, what, sometimes. But please stop saying boring to me like that's a fate worse than death. Like,
right.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. If you want to use that rather negative term to describe my life, okay, you do that. That's, again, not my problem. That's yours.
That's right.
If you see it that way, okay, mazel tov. But I know me, and I know my life, and I know the people in my life. Shay knows our lives are not boring.
No.
But I can say that though, because I've cultivated my inner life, and I'm not some big fancy woman of God. I'm not a preacher. I don't sit and meditate every day, but I've cultivated my inner life, my mind's life, my soul's life, and I've grown to appreciate it for what it is, not try to make it something that it cannot be.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I really like that you protect your inner peace too.
I've
Oh my
been
God.
working on it real significantly. Really
I don't
much.
think there's, I didn't realize how important that was until it kind of impacted me physically.
And
Because when
I'll mention that.
we're going, girl, and we're there for everybody and doing everything, and we're not, you know what I mean? We're putting everybody before ourselves physically, mentally, just and yeah. And so it started to take a toll. My body told me something different, you know, and so I've had to learn that my inner peace is it is everything. So I take what I call, I will tell people that, hey, I'm gonna take a break, you know, and I do that. So I mean,
I do too.
I'll just kind of disconnect.
Girl, I
You know,
leave.
I'll say I'm gonna shut it down. So when I said I'm gonna shut it down, I'll probably shut it down for a day or two or a month.
No,
And
I
I mean it.
leave the house for a weekend. I go away. I just leave.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to. I always say that my family should appreciate me a whole lot more after I've had the opportunity to shut down
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I need it, and I can always tell when it's time.
Cranky and mean, and every little thing everybody does just gets on your nerves, and you can't handle it. And that's when you know you need to, like, okay, I am so stinking privileged. I can like get a cheap motel. Like I'm not living in luxury here, but like I have the means to get a cheap motel for 2 nights and just go sleep and
Girl.
eat and watch whatever I want to watch. And,
Oh, that if I could do that, oh my gosh, I probably could.
you know what? I hope that one day that I can provide that for other young women who really desperately need it. Um, that would just make me so happy.
Oh, Lydia, that's beautiful. That is
Yeah,
freaking amazing.
yeah, that would make me real happy. And you know, I've had lots of people in my home to stay for a short period of time or rest or just
Yeah.
hang out, spend the night, you know, whatever. Um, but yeah, I would love to provide that for other women because you can't you can't have you can't have a purpose outside of these four walls if you're just dead inside all the time.
Oh, that's good.
You can't give out of an, you know, as they always say, out of an empty vessel, right?
That's right. You can't get what you don't have.
Yeah.
If it's depleted.
And so it's like it as far as like you know, you said your body told you to slow down. My
Yes.
body reacts to extreme stress in the most terrifying ways.
Yeah.
Like when I was I went back to college, did not succeed the second time either, but that's okay.
That's okay.
But it was massive amounts of stress, and I've had well, they call it a pseudo seizure.
Oh,
Oh
Lydia.
yeah, pseudo seizure. I've had violent gastrointestinal illnesses, full body rashes. Oh yeah, my body
Oh,
does
girl.
not do well with stress at all, and so yeah, I don't push it as far as I used to because
Right.
I can't live like that. You know, I'm not making myself sick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's exactly what happens. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about some old school parenting versus how we have to parent now. What I've come to realize, and it's so funny because I love my parents. My dad isn't here anymore, but and my mom, I love mom. However, my parenting style differs greatly than than how I was reared, and but I noticed that there are quite a few people or parents, that say, "Oh," and I mean, some ways, I guess I could, some things may be old school, but for the most part, not. Especially when it comes to different things that, different things like a child should be seen and not heard.
Oh no.
Girl, I would never shut down my children's
Absolutely not.
voice.
Mm-mm.
Their voice. You know what I mean?
That's it makes them cry out in different ways. When you take their voice away, they have to cry out. They have to make that noise somehow, some other way, and those are usually not good ways.
Exactly. So, what has been your experience in this area? Do you see? I mean, I don't know. Were you reared in like an old school type of setting?
Mm-hmm. So, my parents were born in 1938 and 1940.
Okay.
Okay. They were 40, give or take, when they had me. I was a huge surprise.
Okay.
I don't think they had any idea what they were doing, but that's okay. They did their best, dang it.
Right.
And the whole seen and not heard deal was major in their growing up. Okay.
Yes.
Now, to their credit, to their enormous credit, even though there were some times when they were way too heavy disciplinary wise, they still did encourage me to talk. They encouraged me to have critical thinking and conversational skills. They're both brilliant people. They both have master's degrees and just super smart. So in that respect, they always encouraged me to speak, and for that I am truly grateful.
Yes, a lot of people didn't have that.
No, and I know, and especially in the South in the 80s and 90s. Whew,
yeah,
and there's,
and that's because that's how they were raised.
It is, and the fact that they even had the capacity to allow that at all is saying something. Especially they were not raised in loving, good homes, neither of them. So, but they were still very rigid. Okay. And even before I got pregnant with Sophia, I knew that I could not be that way.
Right.
And so I did with her what used to be called attachment parenting. I wore her in a sling. Even she was still breastfeeding. I think when I met you, she was about 2.5. And I had committed to nurse her as long as I could.
As long as she wanted. Yeah.
She wanted, as long as I could manage it. Co-sleeping, gentle parenting, i.e. Now I did spank some, to my everlasting shame, but I knew that at the very least, I will say this, I knew that it was not what I wanted to do.
Gotcha.
It always came from a place of fear, from a place of exhaustion, from a place of losing control, because spanking and other similar forms of discipline are about regaining control.
It is. Right.
And for me, I will say this, for me, I couldn't keep on like that. Right. So parenting Sophia and parenting Luca have been wildly different activities. I was 23 when I had her, and I was 31 when I had him. She was raised basically for the first 6-7 years of her life as an Army brat. Very different set of standards, very different set of needs and expectations upon your children and upon you as a parent. And I think sometimes that she does resent that a little bit, because I was able to be softer with her brother than I was with her.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I'm pleased that she's able to tell me that, even though it hurts,
Yeah. Yes.
I'm glad that she's able to communicate that to me and trusts me enough to share that with me. So I don't know. There's no seen and not heard in my house.
Good.
There are times when that has bitten me, when that just bites me directly in the ass, and it's just not good, and it makes me regret my choices. But
I definitely understand that.
I don't raise my kids to be people pleasers either.
Girl. Yes.
And man alive, there's
boundaries. Oh my gosh.
There's so many times I wish I'm like, why won't you please mommy? Right. Please me.
Girl.
Make me happy. Yes. But nope. I didn't start that way and I can't go on that way. I don't have that choice anymore. I have to honor everything I've ever taught them about boundaries. And even when
Uh-oh. Well, it looks like Lydia and I might have lost a signal, but hopefully she will just go ahead and come back in. And it was getting so good. And I want to say hello. I do see that we did have some Purpose friends that come on. And so let me take a look here. I'm going to see if I could just send Lydia a quick message and ask her to just come back in. Let's see here. So Lydia's on her way back in. Hey, let me bring you back into the stream. I'm not sure what happened, but that's okay. We were in the midst of it. So where were we, Lydia?
So I was talking about how I didn't raise my kids to be people pleasers.
That's right.
Because, I grew up, being a people pleaser is born out of trauma. Okay.
Thank you.
It's a reaction out of trauma. It's not healthy. It's never healthy. Now, is it healthy to know when to bend or when to do something solely because you love someone? Absolutely. Of course, it's appropriate to do that sometimes, right?
Right.
But if that's all you're doing ever, that's not okay. So I knew my kids damn sure weren't going to be traumatized. Not this, well, right. maybe in some ways, but certainly not the ways I was. So I gave them their voices, and by golly, they
I think that's really awesome. I think one of the things that I always kind of get on myself about as a mom, I know there are lots of things that we may just kind of like, oh girl, you could have done this, and you could have done that, and you should have done this. But I think sometimes when our children, because they are so smart, a lot of times, we think they may not know kind of what's going on, but for so long, I lived my life as a people pleaser, not knowing how to say no, not guarding my yes, and then accepting behaviors and accepting different things. And my children are witnessing this.
Yep.
And I think, I beat myself up for so long because I'm like, man, this really just kind of impacted them and might have messed that one up, So, it's like, how do you then go in and fix it? So it's created a different type of parenting now, because I don't think now the two younger ones that are in the house now, I can clearly say they have a different mom, so to speak.
Yep. Than Ebony did.
Than Ebony did, than
Mhm.
Asia did, than Amira did.
Mhm.
You know, the three older ones, the young adults now.
Mhm.
And sometimes I feel so much guilt, you know, especially if I'm sitting down and I'm having a conversation, a real heart to heart with my young adult, and my young adult has let me know that, hey, this messed me up, this jacked me up. And, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like, how do well, I mean, I can't change a thing.
No.
I can't change a thing. And I mean, I know that I can't allow myself just to beat myself up, but
you will, because that's what we do. But
that's what we do. But I think it's important that certain things that we don't necessarily, when we realize that there's something that needs to be corrected, that we correct it, so that, you know, especially as we're raising our children, different things that we want them to be able to have. And one of the things that I want my children to be able to do is to always have a voice and to freely express themselves. Even if it hurts me, even if it hurts, period.
Yep.
I don't want them to ever feel as if their voice is stifled. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I think also part of the whole giving them a voice ties into one of the most important things you can do as a parent, as a mom, a dad, or neither of those things, whatever kind of parent or guardian you are.
Yeah.
To be able to ask forgiveness from your children, to be able to humble yourself and say, I messed up. And not just I messed up, but this is how I messed up. I see how it hurt you. This is exactly what I did wrong. I know that. I can see that it hurt you. This is how I'm not going to do it again.
Right. Absolutely.
It gives them power within themselves to expect that people who love them will humble themselves and make apologies, and also how to make proper apologies.
Right.
Being able to give a proper apology is a skill. It is not an innate gift. It has to be taught. So
I agree.
Yeah, you have to teach your kids, like, what did you do? Okay. What was it? How did it affect the other person? And what are you going to do to make changes so that hopefully you don't do that again?
Right.
So,
right. Especially when we're always talking about how we want to make sure that we have people that, you know, we're raising young people that are going to be accountable for their actions, because you and I both know society does not care. Society in general, you know,
very little accountability.
It doesn't care, you know. So, you know, you want them to be accountable, and you know, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, yeah. I think about just people in the workplace in corporate America, and I'm like, girl, your mama should have taught you about being accountable and not blame shifting and stuff like that. And
blame shifting. Oh my goodness. I know we're getting to the end. I'm hoping that maybe another time we can talk about this, obviously, because there's so much to talk about. But
there's so much.
I would love to have a conversation about parenting and momming and mental health.
Okay.
I could and probably should write books about that.
You should. It's needed, because there's so many of us that are suffering in silence and not expressing it. Please write, Lydia.
Yeah. So
do you journal?
No, I should.
No,
but I don't.
I think you should. I think I should. I think
I should. I should. So, but yeah, if I would love to go into that more in depth, because it's not going to do it justice for me to just, you know, say a little blurb, you know, about it, because it's such a big deal. So,
gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? I invite you back here onto the Purpose Conversation so we can be specific.
Yeah,
I think that is.
I would really like that.
There's a whole bunch of us out here that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that conversation is very much needed.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Best parenting advice you ever received?
Don't ever stop holding your kids.
Mm,
Hold them as long as they'll let you.
that's good.
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
Yep. Never stop.
I think one of the ones that I've always been told is that no matter what, you always love one another, and that I've always kind of spoken that over my children. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what, you always love one another. I don't want my children to necessarily fight, although sometimes they
I mean,
might bicker, but
we're human. It happens.
just to have each other's back, just to
Mm-hmm.
just to have each other's back,
And don't
because
be
there's
spiteful about
yeah,
everything all the time. I like to joke, well, how have you gotten so far in life, etc. Out of sheer spite, just honoringness, just sheer honoringness. But I don't want my kids to do everything out of spite. I want that softness and that overarching love to be there. And that's
right.
really important.
I love seeing your children. I love seeing pictures of them. I love to see them interacting.
Yeah,
And
that's awesome.
and I tell you, Sophia, it looks like she's such a good big sister.
She was a
Oh my
great
gosh.
big sister. She's the best.
Yeah.
They fuss, but they love each other so much, and
You could tell. You could
yeah,
tell.
she's such a great sister, and he's a pretty good little brother, I guess.
Yeah. For little brothers, how
He's
little
very
brothers are.
sweet to her. He never tries to pick on her on purpose, and yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, we may have a little picking on each other on purpose in my house, but
Well, you know what? Also, that's also not the end of the world either. Like, that's not.
no.
But boundaries. How do you learn boundaries except by going too far?
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you definitely look. Yeah, and my children will express when you've crossed when you cross the boundary.
I am 100% sure that they will.
Yeah, they absolutely do. They absolutely do. This has been great, but
Yeah.
I do agree that we need to come back. We need to come back to the table, because I would really love for us to talk specifically about moms and their mental health, and how it may impact, even how it impacts parenting and just their day to day. Because I know, especially when I think about this whole pandemic that we've been in, this has been it's been challenging,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been rough. Yep.
It's been rough.
But I'm gonna, Larshay, if you're still watching, this is Juva. She's amazing, and you're amazing.
Hey.
And you guys have so much in common. And I'm gonna, hopefully you guys can link up, because this lady has a lot of amazing things to say about these kind of topics as well.
Awesome.
So
yeah, Larshay was in here. I don't know if she's in here now, but she's been chiming in.
Yeah,
hey, Lydia.
She's the best. She is my girl, man. I love her to death.
Oh, I can tell. And she says, thank you. Thank you for sharing, beautiful. And
my pleasure.
She just she seems like such a cool person. Yeah.
Cool person.
I'll definitely make sure that I connect with her.
Okay. All right. We'll talk more soon. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you, Lydia.
My pleasure. Thank you. Good night.
You. Good night. Okay, you have been watching The Purpose Conversation. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was me and Lydia, and we were talking about moms, specifically stay-at-home moms, and the purpose behind, being able to stay home and care for our younger ones. And I just want to I'm going to invite her back, because, of course, in the midst of this conversation, we were, just kind of discussing a little bit of some of everything. And so Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. Join me on the 29th. So I'm going to have a little bit of a break here. So I won't have a show this coming midweek or next Sunday. So I hope you guys enjoy your Christmas, spend time with your family and your friends, enjoy one another. But on the 29th, I'm going to end the year out. I'm going to end 2021 out with a guy this time because the women have taken over all of December. But I've told you before that he was coming. This on the 29th, I'm going to have a very amazing guest. His name is Prince Raheem, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know him, especially if you grew up during the time that it was all about the bass. And but anyway, you'll look out for promos and things like that. But anyway, please have a blessed holiday. Be safe out here. And as always, I want to encourage you to continue to seek, discover, and to pursue your purpose. You've been watching The Purpose Conversation. Good night, y'all.